Denver Broncos. Is Perna still here? We'll just take whatever Perna says for the Broncos. Coming off of a great season here, Sam. I wasn't expecting it. They felt like they were in a rebuild. They make their playoff run. They look like they hit on Bo Nix. Really impressive job by Sean Payton and George Payton. Everybody putting it all together. The Paytons. Different spellings.
All of a sudden, I looked at this roster and I'm like, man, this is a good team, top to bottom. Like, Bo Nix coming in, playing well. This is a pretty good team, top to bottom. Like, there are not that many holes in this roster that need filling.
So it's one of the challenges in doing what we do here is because you look at the depth chart, you look at the two deep, you look at who's available or who's leaving. And last year at this time with the Broncos, like nobody was looking at Nick Bonito and saying, yeah, slam dunk, good player, don't have to worry about it. We were still like, hey man, he's heading into year 3 and hasn't really put it all together. He's probably a rotational rusher at best. And then all of a sudden he has an outstanding season, and you get good play from Jonathan Cooper, and you see the way they put it all together and got really 7 and 8 deep rushing the passer. And it was a full team effort where there was no real stars. You could argue Bonito in the second half of the year was a star, but it was a full team effort with the way they put it all together. So that's why I think it looks like a pretty good roster. And then the receiving core, it's like, all right, Devon Vele, they hit on him in the 7th round as a nice possession type receiver, right? They hit on some players and had some players develop, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, the Broncos are good and, a couple players away from really elevating this roster even more.
Yeah, like
that's where they are.
It really is. You look at the team, and you're like, there's not that many spaces that need to be upgraded, and areas that we thought were weaknesses a year ago might not be. Wide receiver is still a question mark. Courtland Sutton looks really good, but Marvin Mims, they seem to be unlocking how to actually use him, some of that backfield deployment. As you said, Vele was impressive as a rookie. If he continues to kick on, like, he'll be a useful player for them. You have the complete absence of impact from Troy Franklin as a rookie, but we really liked him at the time they drafted him. I would still add a wide receiver, but I'm not, like, it's not a glaring, massive, this has to be fixed ASAP type of deal. The offensive line's in pretty good shape. The defensive line's in pretty good shape. Like, the defense period is in good shape. You need corner depth, and I'd certainly target a kind of slot or a joker type of weapon that can play nickel sub packages and be an impact player there. But like Surtain on one spot, Riley Moss on the other look like a good duo. This is a good team now.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty solid. And again, but now the goal, of course, is knock off the Chiefs. So,
right.
And they're competitive against, again, head-to-head games. They're competitive against the Chiefs. They've matched up well, and Vance Joseph's done a nice job defensively against them. That's all fine and good. But you're talking about, okay, how do you compete with the Chiefs? And that's where I think potentially some aggressive moves. And look, I think they're one of the most common teams drafting a tight end, because that's how most people do the mock draft thing, right? They're going to do the same thing we did. You look up and down the roster. Well, there's not a ton of needs, but man, they could use a tight end. So give them a tight end and give them Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland or whatever. I would be interested though in cornerback too. And I know Riley Moss played pretty well at times last year, but I would attack that again, Sam, with Patrick Surtain being so good on one side. I don't want to deal with what they dealt with last year where there were injuries and teams could throw away from Surtain. What if they just attacked that position and made sure that they had incredible depth and flexibility in the secondary with a first-round corner, compete with Riley Moss, and, make sure that you have somebody good opposite Patrick Surtain? What do you
I think, yeah, well, I just think it's funny that you're busy to go after Riley Moss given the season he's had.
He's all right. He's fine.
I just think it's harsh.
I want to ensure that we have a very deep group of corners.
I think Riley Moss looked very good as a second cover guy. It's interesting. He's an example of, so I think his PFF grade is fairly middling, but it's because he just had an amazing capacity to blow contain on his side of the defense. There's so many huge plays went around him, largely in the run game, where he just tracks inside or misses something and just suddenly there's nobody there on that side of the defense. I think his basic coverage was better than that. And I think they massively missed him when he was out of the lineup. I think he's fine as a starting corner. I would want to upgrade that slot And okay, if you can get a guy that has a bit of flexibility and could do either, all the better. But the slot or like my primary nickel defender is the real sort of area that I would be targeting for them.
So let's get Jedi Barron, who can do both.
Yes.
From Texas. How about that? We're gonna get Barron for the Broncos. I might wait on the. I'm not saying I have to take him. Where are they picking? Right at the maybe
20?
not. Yeah, maybe not that high, but maybe I don't know. Barron at 20, or trade down, get Barron, and then tight end in the second round. There's tight end depth, I think, to whether it is an Arroyo or Mason Taylor. I think you can get a decent tight end there. I don't think you have to go with one of those first round tight ends if you're the Broncos, just because it looks like the most glaring need. Like any team, you could use more defensive line depth. I think, defensive tackle, you could add more there with I just lost my list here. DJ Jones being a free agent. Like, I'm not saying you're directly trying to replace him, but just making sure that you maintain that depth up front on the defensive line. And they could use one of those 340 to 360 pounders that we keep talking about. Are they in the Kenneth Grant sweepstakes as well, as far as defensive line goes, especially at 20? That'd be great value.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Barron suggestion for them. I think that would be an amazing fit within this defense, within a defense that's already really good. So I think that one's awesome. Again, I think you're right, tight end, because it's such a deep class, you can get those guys outside of the first round. That would be, I think an optimal way of doing that. Find the guy that is a perfect fit within your defense in round one, come back for tight end in the second or the third, and we're cooking.
Then there are already rumors that Taysom Hill could land in Denver. And so, look, we know that one of their needs is also running back. And I think in this draft, almost certainly should be drafting a running back, just getting an Audric Estime should easily be that guy. We know that. We all know Estime should be the guy, right? He should be RB1 heading into next year. They'll probably draft someone else, but they could also bring in running back Taysom Hill.
I mean, I certainly like that as a fit better than tight end Taysom Hill. I think that's what Taysom Hill is. That makes sense. Like, now, I mean, you're unlikely to make Taysom Hill your starting running back, right? So that means Estime is RB1, McLaughlin is in there as the pass catching guy, and then Taysom Hill is the third option. Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, that's it.
Don't hate it.
Estime, young guy, Taysom Hill, because Taysom Hill's game plan oriented, move him around, do different stuff. Yeah, that's what you're doing. Now, Clint Kubiak has unlocked Taysom Hill more than Sean Payton ever did, but still, maybe Sean's learned from Kubiak.
But Kubiak didn't give him the $40 million contract that Payton did. So,
no, that's true. So those rumors are already out there, and I don't hate it. I'm all in on the Taysom Hill experiment. I think they will draft a running back. We joke. I mean, we both really liked Estime coming in. I think Jaleel McLaughlin's a really nice change of pace, got some quicks and burst and outside run type of ability, but it is a good draft to draft an RB1. Marion Hampton's getting a ton of hype right now, Sam. I'm going to go back and rewatch some of his film because there were some concerning things that I saw, but I get it. I mean, he's good. He's getting a ton of hype, maybe even first round hype. I don't think Ashton Genty's available at 20, but given the rest of the roster, like, is this one of those fits where if Genty was there at 20, that he fits in here for them?
I mean, we said this before, right? When it came up either on when some mock that we were talking about, it's like, I don't know that I love the fit here because I don't know that this offense has not been good at run blocking. So I don't know that a running back coming in is immediately fixing it and turning this into like a powerful, dominant run team. Genty would be the guy, but I don't love the fit necessarily here. And I also think, again, in this deep running back draft, unless you have one of those situations, like unless you're rocking in there with the Eagles offensive line or the Lions offensive line, neither of whom has an issue at running back right now, I don't know that I want to spend a first round pick on a guy like Genty because I don't think I have the situation good enough for him to look the way he should look if I'm drafting him in the first round. Like, I would come back later in this draft. Like, he would feel like a good landing spot for your favorite guy, Scatterbo.
Oh, man. Do it. Get him in the third. Can we get him in the third? We're drafting Scatterboo. Oh, if they had Scatterboo and Estime. The Broncos are like the team that drafts all my favorite players, I think, the last few years. Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, Estime. Like, they're drafted Nick Bonito. Like, drafted a lot of my favorites. So, like, definitely getting Scatterboo here.
I mean, dude, if you signed Taysom Hill and then drafted Scatterboo, like the sheer grit levels are just off the charts.
Plus, Scatterboo had like the passing touchdown, the receiving touchdown, all in the same game. He had his own Taysom Hill game. Yes,
but like that's more lunch pail grit than any team has ever had since the 1970s.
Riley Moss at corner, can't teach it. Can't teach that, man. They're gonna win the AFC West. We did have some questions about free agents. I would keep an eye if there's a tight end need. I would keep an eye on Juwan Johnson, former Saint, and maybe reuniting with Payton. Like, if they want to fill things through free agency and not have to force the draft pick at tight end and hit some other needs in the draft, Juwan Johnson or a Mike Gesicki, Johnson especially for the connection, but either of those guys as a pass catching tight end, I'd be good with for the right price.
Payton is definitely a big, like, I like this guy, and I'm going to keep, like, little Jordan Humphrey still getting snaps for them. Like, absolutely anybody that previously had been a Payton project should be in consideration.
By the way, Lil Jordan is also a free agent. We expect him to be back with Sean Payton because what else is he going to do? He's got to be back.
Unless he goes for one of his other projects like Juwan Johnson or Taysom Hill.
All right, so have we fixed the Broncos? We're going to get Scatterboo. What else we drafting? We're going to get Juwan Johnson.
Barron in the first round.
Oh, yeah, Ji'Ayir Barron. Beautiful. This is good. I think we fixed the Broncos. Anything else?
No, I think it's good. Like I said, this is a good team that doesn't need that much. We're going to tinker with some defensive line depth, but, man, they're good to go.
Perna, let us know. Make sure we solve the Broncos issues enough.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.